All right, everybody, welcome back. We are looking at more edge players. We are looking at more 3-4 outside linebackers for our defense. And this video is going to be more about the guys we just kind of bring in as couple million, 3 million, 3.5 million for 1 year guys who we're not really expecting that much out of. Like the earlier video, those guys had like some, I don't want to say star potential, but they had some really good potential in the right situation to be really, really good. These guys, I don't see it so much. There's a couple of reclamation projects. There's some veterans that may or may not have a little bit of gas left in the tank. It's more like just flyer territory. This would be something that you might do if you had a lot of confidence that Derek Hall was going to kill it in 2024, or if you were going to maybe bring back Darrell Taylor and you had a lot of confidence in him. But this is not my recommended route. However, we don't have a lot of money, so maybe we will have to do one of these. First guy is Kavan Chason. Kavan Chason. You remember this guy? He was a first-round pick in 2020, the COVID draft. Went to Jacksonville, and it's been not good. He does have experience playing 3-4 outside linebacker, but he's got 5 sacks in 4 years. Has never really became even a full-time starter. Just kind of been a guy. Just kind of been floating around out there. Got double-digit pressures last year, which was actually impressive because of how small an impact a player he's been in his career. So, yeah, there's not much to say about Chason. PFF has never really ranked him highly. In fact, they've mostly been very negative on him. But these are the kinds of guys that coaches sometimes feel like they can fix, right? He's only going to be 25. He's the kind of player in terms of like physical attributes that you would want in a Mike Macdonald defense. And according to Spotrac, he's going to get 2 years, $6.2 million. Now, I don't see how he gets a multi-year deal. I think it's going to be a 1 year, $3 million deal at best. And the $3 million is only because of his draft pedigree. If he was a former 4th-round pick, it would be veteran minimum, and it still might be. Like, this guy's been pretty crap his whole career. So I think it could be like 1 year, 1.2 million or something like that. And you get to work on him for an off season and see if you can squeeze anything out. Okay, next guy is another guy who has a connection to our new defensive coordinator, AD. It's Dante Fowler Jr., who worked under him in Dallas for a couple of years. Another guy with 3-4 outside linebacker experience. Been around the league for sure, but the last couple years where he's kind of been reborn, he has been playing 4-3 edge. So I'm not so sure how well this would work at this point. This guy has had a major injury. I think it was either a torn ACL or a torn Achilles. And then he went to Dallas after recovering from the injury and has had a nice bounce back. He's got 10 sacks combined over the last 2 years in a reserve role. But again, maybe he doesn't have the athleticism to be a 3-4 outside linebacker anymore the way he was in Atlanta, the way he was with the Rams. I can't remember what he was doing in Jacksonville when he first got in the league. But I mean, this guy's best years are clearly behind him, and maybe now he's just a guy who needs to put his hand in the dirt all the time. Hard to know. You're going to have to count on AD to be able to know that. PFF thinks that he's played okay the last 2 years. There have been some problems, which shouldn't surprise anybody given the fact that he was coming off a major injury, and he just took him a while to get back. But if you think that he would fit into your defense, if you think that he would be able to make the transition to an outside linebacker role, I think it'd be good. I think it would work. And it'd probably be fairly cheap, even though he's been decent the last 2 years. I don't think it'll be much more than the $3 million he got last year. So $3.5 million should be okay. Next guy, this is another veteran that you're just hoping has a little bit of gas left, Bud Dupree, formerly of the Atlanta Falcons, most notably a first-round pick of the Steelers, but that was a long time ago. He's 31 now. Not really the player that Pittsburgh thought he was going to be when they drafted him. He did have one really nice year in 2019 with 11.5 sacks, but I think they pretty quickly realized that was a little bit of a fugazi because he was playing alongside somebody like a TJ Watt. And the last couple of years he's been wandering around. He's not completely unproductive. He had 7 sacks across 2 years in Tennessee, And then last year, he actually had 6.5 sacks in Atlanta. He is a guy who generates a decent number of pressures. It's not some weird random outlier for him to be able to get 6.5 sacks in a season off 24 pressures. So it's not completely without value. But he is 31 now. Age is becoming a problem. He is somebody who really needs somebody else to take up the attention so he can just kind of sneak in and clean up. He is definitely one of those cleanup guys, but you could do worse. And when you take a look at Bud Dupree, he made $3 million last year. Is he going to make more this year? Maybe, but he's 31 now. Maybe not. Maybe you could get him for the 1 year, $3 million deal, and it'd be cool. So Bud Dupree, reasonable candidate to pick up as an outside linebacker backup. Next guy, this is one of the bigger busts in recent memory, and this would be another opportunity for Mike Macdonald to pick somebody up and say, I can fix him. This is Clelin Ferrell. So Clelin Ferrell has, he's got a lot to answer for. He was the number 4 overall pick in 2019 or something, and he never really did much of anything with the Raiders. Last year, he went to the 49ers and did very little as well. So he's been surrounded by talent in his career. He's gotten to play with guys like Max Crosby. And last year, he got to play with Bosa, Armstead, the linebackers they have in Warner and Greenlaw and Chavarius Ward. And he's just not very good. PFF paints a pretty clear picture as well. He's just passable occasionally, like decent, but never really like all that good. Maybe his rookie year there were some encouraging signs in limited playing time, but you'd think you would have seen something by now. He's probably also oversized at 265 pounds, but with how big a disaster he's been as a 3-4 end, maybe he does need to slim up a little bit and become a 3-4 outside linebacker. I mean, at this point, I'm sure he'll do anything to try to fix his career because it's bad right now. Now, the upshot is you could probably get Ferrell for vet min at this point, maybe vet min plus. So that's nice, but there's a lot to fix. There's a lot to work on. And if you're Mike Macdonald, you've got enough to worry about without having to try to fix some guy who's just been a complete disaster since he's come into the league. Like, Darrell Taylor's probably been better than Clelin Ferrell in his NFL career. So if you're going to do that, just tender Darrell Taylor and just say that, okay, I'm going to try to fix you instead. Last guy is another one of those veterans that you're just hoping has a little bit left. Marcus Golden, about to turn 33. So he is right near the end. This is a guy with a lot of outside linebacker 3-4 experience. Pittsburgh, Arizona. I think he was with the Giants when they were running the 3-4. So he can do it, and he's had some really good seasons. In fact, the 2021 season, he had 11 sacks. That's not that long ago. That was when he was 30. That was when people thought he was already probably past his prime. But he had that big season, and the last couple years, it's been a big drop-off. Still not a completely worthless player. He had 4 sacks last year for the Steelers. Only 9 pressures, though, so you do have that question of, like, was it a fluke? I mean, the year before, he had 22 pressures and 2.5 sacks. So what is the real Marcus Golden? At this point, you're really just praying. You're really just like throwing up a Hail Mary that this guy has something left in the tank because he's just so dang old. PFF loved him last year for whatever that's worth, but again, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can count on similar production in 2024. But I can see some wisdom here if you're really just trying to go cheap because he should be very cheap. He's somewhere on this list, and I believe he made close to the veteran minimum last year. I don't know why this year would be any different. Yeah, he made the veteran minimum last year, so you get him for like $1.4 million for 1 year, and he's going to be worth that. He's going to be worth at least that, but is he going to actually be worth playing? That's a little bit more of a coin flip that you might not want to make. So that's about it. There are other guys, don't get me wrong, but those are the guys who really stood out to me. Like, if Leonard Floyd ends up being a lot cheaper than I expect, then maybe him. There's, like, Randy Gregory's probably going to be really cheap at this point, but we don't need to be messing around with that, I don't think. You could maybe talk about a little bit about a guy like Grossmatos, but to me it's just like a poor man's version of the AJ Epinenza question. And, yeah, I think that's about it. Those are the guys we could afford. Those are the guys we could seek out. And let me know what you guys think of them. I'll see you guys later on. More videos coming. We're almost done with this free agency primer series. Hope everyone's getting a kick out of it. Yeah, I will be seeing you guys later on. Go Hawks. And yeah, we're just going to continue to chew on everything that this NFL offseason has to offer. See you soon.